The first round of the season provided a similar picture as we've seen so often already. Mick Cledge getting challenged by a competitor, but eventually comes out victorious by being less subject to making mistakes. However, this time around, we're to the sand of Laguna Seca, which has already provided great spectacles throughout its years of service, like the one in 2018 between Stone and Rossi on the two-wheelers. Something you most definitely can expect from today's race as well. So buckle up and get some popcorn and join us today as we ready to watch round 2 of the Grand Prix Legends Series live here on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing eSports Network. Speaking to you from the press box up high is Stefan Schlacher alongside Ryan Walker. Turning knobs and pushing buttons behind the scenes, our director Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Most famous for the 6 stories dropping chicane, also known as the corkscrew, Laguna Seca has so much it's got to speak for itself than just turn 8s and 8A. So why not let us head trackside with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
Joe Peak talking you a lap around the Laguna Seca. Are you looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million monthly global impressions? From official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description to learn more. And as always, learning more, that's what we're all about here at GSRC. So Rhino, what can you tell us about today's track?
Laguna Seca is such a fantastic track, and it's got a bit of history about it as well. We know in real life it hosts a whole range of series from a Pirelli World Challenge to the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and also some of the Pirelli World Michelin Pilot Challenge rather. And it's also had a bit of history for hosting IndyCar as well. But today it will be hosting round 2 of the Grand Prix Legends Series. This fantastic track is 2.23 miles in length, or 3.602 kilometers if you prefer to use that. Has 11 turns and is located in Monterey, California.
Yeah, as always, as already said, should be a very interesting venue for today. And the biggest news already comes in the form of the F1 Drivers' Championship. Mick Cledge did win the first race, but it is that Mick Cledge is not here today as his rift did fall off his table and it broke the right eye. So he can't race here today because he's not able to race on a single screen. Just not safe enough to race around. so he's gonna sit out here today, which means Rafael Dorado, second place in the championship. He might take over the first place here today with Rob Bolnick in third, Phil Lake in fourth, and Alessandro Parisi will be your fifth place driver in this championship standings. But we're only the second race in, so a lot is gonna change in the coming weeks. Ryan, what can you tell us about the F2 championship?
The F2 Championship is, even though we're only one round into the season, or 2 rounds into the season, if you count Laguna Seca, but at the moment, the F2 Championship is currently being led by Marlon Williams, who had a pretty good race at Watkins Glen last week. But a second place, it came not far behind, is John Vetrano with 16 points. Rounding out the top 3 is Finland's Jan Lehmann, and then Andre Schumacher in fourth, with Douglas Cloud rounding out the top 5. So the F2 Championship is still really, really close. And I think this season in the F2 Championship is going to be exciting to watch.
Very much so. Looking at the last championship we have for you guys, that's the Nations Cup as always. United Kingdom right now leading that one with 50 points, 5 points ahead of the Netherlands. The United States is sitting there in third, Italy fourth place, and Norway in fifth. So yeah, that's just the drivers. I think the highest scoring driver or the highest 2 scoring drivers of the nation are scoring points for that, if I got that correctly in my head. Ryan, how are we looking at the race details for today?
So this is the second round of the new Grand Prix Legends series. The race length for today will be 26 laps. It might not seem long around this track, because in reality it's not a long track, but it's kind of long at the same time, because you've got basically you're on a straight most of the time. So yeah, it's going to be these drivers are going to have to be very careful in the early stages of the race, and remember that it's a long race in hindsight, and it's an open setup as always. And today, or as always in this series, you've got 17x, which will be a stop-go penalty, and if you get to 25x, you will be removed from the race.
And yeah, Ryan, I think we might see some people getting really close to those 17x here today. A lot of areas where you can most definitely run off track, and as you can see in the background already, our qualifying session is well and truly underway. Rafael Dorado right now leading ahead of Ove Traingrade, but there's only 46 1,000ths of a second.
Yep, and Ove Traingrade has always been quick in this series and with this car as well. And I think he could give Mr. Dorado a run for his money today, as Ernesto Ramiro comes across the line to complete a lap, but it doesn't. I don't think it counts.
Yeah, did seem like that. Rob Bolnick, third place. Bill Talla right now also fourth place. They've already pretty much everybody completed their laps here. Sebastian Tixier is still driving on his second lap, but it looks like that one is rather slow, as we're looking at PJ Gotti. Let's see what he can do. And that was already his third lap, so that didn't count here as well. Sebastian Tixier, as I already said, I can see him. He's just, yeah, slowly going around the track. Isaac Olive, he is also still trying to put in a lap. He is on a fast one for himself. 23.660 is what he has to beat right now. Last place. Can he up his position? Very much can so. 22.394 puts him into 17th.
Yeah, this as Romero's coming round the final corner to complete another lap. This will be his final lap of qualifying, and he's coming across the line now. And it looks like it'll be a 20.8, so that puts him up into P8 at the moment.
It's actually P7 for him,
P7,
just
sorry.
100th behind Alessandro Parisi. So good qualifying from the number 18, as we're looking at Osmo Schultz. Also, he looks to be slow right now. 21, so that is everybody that is going to put in a lap today, because Jack Hobbs and Colin Bentley, who have not put in a lap yet, they cannot complete their lap, as there's only about 40 seconds left today. Rafael Dorado and WeatherTech 6/10. They are ahead of Rob Olnick, who has the honor of being the number 1 here today, with Miklaj missing. So it does seem like right now that we'll only have 2 people fighting for that top spot here today, Ryan, with Rob Olnick being that far away in qualifying.
Yep, absolutely. But I think there's other people that's in the pack as well. It could be there or thereabouts. You've got the likes of Bill Taylor, you've got Alessandro Parigi, and as always, always been quick in this car, Rob Olnick in third place.
Alright, since the qualifying is pretty much over, we can go to the grid here right now. Rafael Dorado, as already said, he is your first place here today. He is having his first pole position in this series, in this season, with a 19.704. WeatherTech second place for him, with Rob Olnick in third, Bill Tyler in fourth place, Mikko Lino, he is a new face in the series, fifth place for him, so great qualifying for the Finn there, with Alessandro Parigi, as already mentioned, in 6th, Ernesto Romero just behind in 7th, Sebastian Tixier, Paul Foster, and Antonio Rees round out the top 10.
Starting in 11th is Gines Ruiz Nunez, 12th is Borja Valero, Chris Maracami 13th, Gary Teal 14th, PJ Gaudi in 15th, Laus Olsen in 16th, 17th is Isaacov, 18th is John Vetrano, Osmar Schultz in 19th, and starting in 20th is Colin Bentley, and rounding out the grid in 21st is Jack Hobbs.
And that is already everybody here today in this split, because we most definitely have 2 splits racing here today. 42 drivers have signed up. The top 21 in the iRacing standings are in this session. If you want to keep up with all 21 of your drivers here today, you can head over to gsrc.tv for all your timing and scoring needs. Engines are harmonizing. We're ready to drop the green flag here today at Laguna Seca, and they are off. It's a great start from Rob Olnick. It's also a very good start from Rafael Dorado from first place. But in behind, the battle is on already for second place. Rob Olnick, a little bit of a slide there through turn 1, and they nearly come together. But much space given between those two. And look now, here comes Rob Olnick on the outside now for turn number 3, and that's not going to work for him. WeatherTech breaks later and continues to drive in second place.
And that was a fantastic start for Rafael Dorado. He got a great launch off the line, and the WeatherTech kind of got left behind and was under attack from Rob Olnick at the moment, but managed to hold the position. And at the moment, hopefully I don't jinx it, but at the moment everyone seems to have survived so far in lap 1.
Yeah, most definitely does seem like that. Turn number 6, the first trouble spot for our drivers. That's Paul Foster, and it's actually Antonio Rees himself who goes a little bit wide there.
Oh, Dorado off!
Oh, Dorado, he goes sideways. He's able to save it on the gravel, but he's losing many positions down to 4th place, maybe in 5th place. No, Bill Tyler is not able to overtake him there.
Unbelievable. I thought Rafael, he looked so sketchy under braking into the corkscrew. Just about to look at the replay now of Rafael Dorado making a mistake, and this is on the run up to the corkscrew, and he's already sideways before he brakes, and he just loses it under braking and throws it off into the gravel.
Yeah, so seems like first lap nerves there for Rafael Dorado. That really did throw him off. But it's the good thing that was only in the first lap. He didn't lose too much time. He is about 1.5 seconds behind WeatherTech. And yeah, right now, Ryan, Rob is able to keep pace with Ove.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He's staying with Ove at the moment. And maybe these two might work together and try and pull away from the rest of the pack, because they're starting to build up a little bit of a gap to Dorado in third place. And I just watched the replay from my end as well, and Rafael Dorado missed the brake marker by a mile.
Yeah, so most definitely it does just seem like as if his nerves did play up there a little bit. Oh, that was a little bit wide from WeatherTech, and now it's also a little bit of a slide there from Rob Olnick as he went back onto the throttle. So it continues to be the trouble spot for these guys in the first 2 laps, with now also Rob Olnick and WeatherTech having a small mistake after the mistake from Rafael Dorado just ago. Cloud cover takes a little bit of a thing here right now. Partly cloudy sky, by the way, 20 degrees Celsius in the air, 36 degrees Celsius on the track, and some high winds. It's 10 knots or 15 kilometers an hour.
Yep, as a complete lap 2. Complete lap 2 onto lap 3 now, and still Trengrid's leading from Olenek. As there's a battle for P4 going on at the moment, and P4 by the looks of it is Nicolino with Bill Tyler and Alessandro Parigi and a couple of other cars in this pack as well. So yeah, this train is starting to build up slightly.
Nicolino, he already did gain a position from his 5th place. That was over Bill Tyler. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. Nicolino was actually 3 times slower in qualifying than Bill Tyler. But you can see all the cars behind him. It's a big train. Goes pretty much all the way back to where's that in last? That is Borja Valero. He is in 14th position right now. But Nicolino is starting to get a little bit away there from Bill Tyler as we're continuing to watch these guys.
Yep, absolutely. Sorry, Steph.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as he came into the final corner, and Lino's, like you mentioned, is starting to pull away ever so slightly from Tyler behind him, because it looks like Bill Tyler is coming under huge pressure from Parigi and Sebastian Tixia.
Gary Thiel in the pit lane there, just in case you were wondering. He is exiting. Oh, that's Alessandro Parigi and the green car behind him, Sebastian Tixia, nearly coming together. As now there's Gary Thiel, who has to make way for these guys. He doesn't really get out of the way too nicely. Interrupts the battle between Tixia and Ernesto Romero. That's not gonna be happy faces right there under that blue helmet from Romero, and he's getting the block on once again, has to swivel to the left side. And now he is past Gertie.
I don't like to go away from battles or anything like that, but I'm just watching back up at the front as well. In second place, Rob Olenek is under pressure from Dorado, and Dorado looks like he's in a bit of a, you could say, angry driving mode at the moment, because he's managed to close it back up to Rob Olenek really quickly.
Yeah, he is on fire. Rafael Dorado already back up to second place. He did put in the fastest laps 2 times in a row. 20.004 was the last one, about 8 tenths faster than Rob, and 2 tenths faster than Ove, so he most definitely has the speed to go right now. He just has to find a way around. Maybe it's into turn 2 already. No, too far away for Rafael right now, but there's the slide from Rob Olnick. It opens the door, but also he has the slide.
Whoa, both of them managed to hold on to that beautifully, and yeah, I think Olnick's feeling the pressure at the moment, because he's fallen back from Ovi Trengrid, and Dorado is just putting him under huge pressure, and I think it's just a matter of if not when the move gets done, as Dorado goes to the outside. Oh, there you go.
To the outside, has to slow down a little bit more, tries to set it up for the exit, but it doesn't really work out. But as you said, it's not if, but a when question. This will happen. Another little bit of a wiggle there out of turn 5, up the Graham Rahal straight they go, and once again Rafael are just not able to get alongside Rob Olnick. He has to wait for a few more corners. Will it already be turn number 11, or will he wait for turn number 2? Alright, so will he be able to set it up through turn number 10? A little bit of a dip, very much camper. This really helps. Lewis 49 of Rafael Dorado. Here comes the dive bomb to the inside, side by side on the apex. He gets it stopped, but he can't put the power down. So Rob Olnick continues to fight for second for another lap.
Well, credit to Rafael for having a go, but I thought that was going to end up in disaster when he made that lunge up the inside. But luckily, both of them managed to survive, and Dorado is absolutely just trying everything to get by, but he can't do anything about it at the moment. As he gets close to Olnick on the braking, and just about runs into the back of him.
Oh, there's another mistake from Rob Olnick. Rear did slide out through turn 4, and Rafael Dorado says, "Thank you very much, but not too fast without Rob Olnick." He comes back on the brake side by side, and look at the launch he's getting off of turn 5. What is that setup? It's all about acceleration. He manages to sneak by once again.
And Dorado, he needs to be careful, Dorado, as well. It's all good and well with trying to make a lunge up the inside, but if he does it again and he locks up, that is just going to end up in disaster and contact between the both of them. And not far behind as well, just watching it too, is Lino and Tyler slowly catching up to these guys.
Yeah, every now and then you can see them on the screen. Now you can see them fully on the screen as we switch to these two guys. Rafael Dorado in the foreground. He tried to make a little bit of a move happen, but it was only a look to the inside. And the guy that's really loving this battle right now is Ovi Trengrid. He opened that gap in the last 2 laps by over 2 seconds. So he's now up and about 3.266 seconds over the line. That's the difference between Rob Bolnick and Ovi Trengrid. It's another slide from Rob Bolnick to the outside of turn number 2. The Mario Andretti hairpin, very much the trouble point for the New England driver right now. Once again through turn number 5, those two fight. And this time a little bit better for Rob Bolnick, but the drive from Rafael Dorado out of that corner is just tremendous. But then again, turn number 5, and this is the really strong point of Rob Bolnick. Look at how much he's able to open that gap.
Yeah, it just seems to be that Olnick gets sideways through the kink and just almost loses it, but thankfully manages to hold it. But Rafael Dorado, I think Dorado is making Olnick slightly rattled, judging by the way Olnick's driving at the moment.
4/10 continues to be between those two guys. As by the way, with Mikko Lino, if they would be able to catch up to this battle for second place, he would bring that whole Congo line behind him that reaches all the way back to Antonio Rees.
That's possible. I mean, just watching Olnick and Dorado battle on the way, it's allowing the guys behind them to catch up as Ovi Trengrid got a little bit sideways into turn 1 but manages to gather it up. But yep, the pack behind are slowly closing up to, I should say, the back of Dorado.
Once again, Dorado shows how difficult it really is to pass around the Laguna Seca Raceway. And yeah, he is much faster, probably about 4/5/10 than Rob Bolnick, but he just can't find the way past. Maybe this time around he did have quite a slide there out of turn 5, Rob Bolnick. That is, let's see, turn number 6. It's also a little bit slow for Rob Bolnick. This might be a good chance for Rafael Dorado. He goes to the right side there. We're able to see the white car, but he just can't stick it side by side through turn number 7. That is being followed by the corkscrew. A little bit of a wiggle there out of the corkscrew as well, which drops him about 4-5 car length once again back on Rob Bolnick.
And the corkscrew, it's such a difficult corner to get right on the exit because you're going downhill, and also there's a bump on the exit of the corner. If you take it wrong, that will make the car unsettled and even hit the ground. But at the moment, these two guys scrapping away, it's just allowing Ovi Trengrid to just pull away further and build his gap off even more.
Yeah, the gap now already up to 4.4 seconds between Trengrid and Olnick. So this fighting really does help him. By the way, in behind Mikko Lino with a little bit of a mistake, so they were nearly side by side for P number 4. As we head back to Lars Olsen, who is just a 10th behind Valero, but he's not able to do a launch into turn number 2.
Yep, this battle as well is going on, and behind them they've got by the looks of it, yeah, it's Colin Bentley that's behind them in P15, so a 3-car battle going on for P13 at the moment, and there's not just battles up at the front going on, they've got battles going on in the midfield and further back towards the end of the pack.
Back we go though to the battle pack for second place, and actually Rafael Dorado, he was able to get past Rob Bolnick, and that was a mistake through turn number 6. Here it is just way too wide there with a slide run.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it looked like Olnick might have just made a mistake on the exit or in the middle of the kink, and just lost the car a little bit, and it allowed Rafael Dorado to pounce and pick up second place. So it'll be interesting to see if Dorado can close that gap down to Ovi Trengrid. It'll be a bit of a task, a tough task, I should say, but it's with 10 laps into the race, it's more than possible.
4.7 seconds, the gap was right over the line for Rafael Dorado. He has to make up that jump, but last lap it was already faster by 2/10 than the one from Overtrangorate, so might just see that lead to be eaten up by the very hungry international driver that is Rafael Arturado.
And then at the moment, it's he's just pulling away ever so slightly, and it looks like Olenek might just be struggling a little bit with the setup because he's sliding around a lot.
Yeah, it seems very much so that he's struggling with that. Maybe he also did expect a little bit of a low track temperature. We're already up to 35 degrees Celsius on the track. We are in the afternoon sun. 2 p.m. is the virtual standard time. As it seems like Tix here had a problem. It is dropping down the order. Ryan, let's have a look what happened to him.
Yep, so just look at the replay now and heading up to the kink. It looks like he might have just lost it or maybe clipped the anti-curve and he just lost the car on the entry and into the wall she goes.
And onboard would be really telling here what happened to Sebastian Tick here. But yeah, we can't get that as it seems like his onboard camera wasn't working for the Asian man. But yeah, just overcorrect. I think he overbroke that one a little bit and thus lost the rear on the entry. As we're gonna go back to Laust Olsen, most notably, or rather most known for driving the Nissan ZX Turbo GTP in the Camel GT series on just a few hours from now, also here on the Global SimRacing Channel, so most definitely check that out if you like your classic cars. The yellow and green car of Laust Olsen right now sitting in set 13th place is looking a little bit inside the top 10. I think it's not too far-fetched. It's only 5 seconds between himself and 10th place.
As well, the battle for P9 is going on at the moment. That's between Chris Maricami and just behind him is John Vitrano. So Maricami under huge pressure, and Chris Maricami is a name that we recognise from other leagues. And he's never been really quick in this car or in this series, but he's always been there and thereabouts, just outside the top 10. And today he looks like at the moment he looks on course to finish inside the top 10.
We're looking back from Chris Murakami over the engine of him, John Vitrano. It was a good exit out of the last turn for John, so let's have a look what he's going to be able to do into turn 2. And that is a big nothing. The Texan driver is looking to get that 9th place away, but just can't find a way once again past his competitor. He's getting a good turn 3, maybe he's able to set up turn 4 here for the 5th. Look at that big slide from Chris Murakami. Has to get a little bit off throttle there for John Vitrano, and thus can't set up the pass for turn number 5.
Yeah, he got a great run, but Chris Maricami went defensive early to cover the inside line, and he done it hard but fair, and still running in P9 at the moment.
There's the mistake. There's the mistake from Chris Murakami. Sorry, Ryan. John can't go. That's a touch. And he's making the corner. How is Chris? Is he a fighter pilot, or how did he dive that car into the corkscrew? My goodness, Chris, what a save. That is the save of the century.
Yeah, that was amazing. The only way I can describe that is holy cow.
That was incredible.
So just look at the replay now, and Vitrano gets a great run heading up to the corkscrew, and Maricami brakes, and I think John might have just been caught out ever so slightly. And I'm amazed that Maricami never got any rear end damage or even suspension damage.
Yeah, there's no damage whatsoever to Chris Murakami's car, so he was extremely lucky not only on the save but also on the damage side. But obviously now Borja Valero is the car following him, with John Vitrano even losing out to Guinness Ruiz Nunes, as Vitrano now continues in 12th place, which is just ahead of the yellow and green car of Laust Olsen.
As the battle for P4 is going on between Bill Tyler and Mikko Laino, and It looks like Lionel has got a great exit on the exit of the final corner, but he's not close enough to head down to the Andretti hairpin.
4/10 the gap is between those two after the Will Tyler got past Mikko Leiner, which we didn't see because we were looking at the battle for 10th place. Mikko Leiner is not really dropping away. Bill Tyler, yes, he got past, but it seems like the pace is pretty much even between those two, as Mikko Leiner is just behind the gearbox of Tyler.
Yep, as they come up to the kink, and Lion is still very close to Tyler, but he can't get close enough or get a run on him at the moment. And as come up to the corkscrew, Lion might be able to close up on the brake, and he closes up a little bit, but Tyler runs it ever so slightly, and that might be a slowdown. I'm not sure.
Going back to the pack for P11, one thing I can tell you guys is that John Petrano and Borja Valero, those two both made big mistakes into turn number 2 just in this lap. So Laust Olsen is now the leader of this pack, and as I said, 5 seconds, it wasn't much to P number 10, and now that 10th place, Guinness Ruiz Nunez, you can see him every now and then just ahead of him in this helicopter shot.
Yep, and it seems to have spread out a little bit, but further in this pack as well, we've got a battle going on.
Oh, there he comes! Borja Valero to the inside of Laust Olsen. Let's see who has the better drive of those two, and there's clearly Laust Olsen on the outside. So the Scandinavian driver continues to be in that 11th position, but maybe Valero tries something into turn 2. Yes, he does. No, he does not actually. So he continues now in that 4th place. And it's going to be interesting to see, Ryan, if Laust can catch Guinness Ruiz Nunez for that 10th place.
He might be able to do it, but I mean, Nunez is maybe a bit too far ahead at the moment, but as they've still got not long left in the race when you think about it. So yeah, maybe these drivers are starting to make moves at this moment in time, because they're realising that time's running out.
Laust Olsen a little bit wider through turn number 5, maybe opens a little bit of a chance for Borja Valero. But he decides better of that smart move. It's kind of a passing opportunity, but only for the desperate, Ryan. What do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe for the desperate, or maybe for people that have watched the video of Alex and Hardy pulling off that pass in 1996 in the IndyCar series. So yeah, but I don't think anyone. Is Olsen's under attack, and it looks like Valero is up the inside, and he's got a great run in the exit of the final corner, but Laust Olsen pulls ahead ever so slightly as they head up to turn 1.
Yeah, and Laust Olsen actually gives back that position to Borja Valero, so interesting move there. Didn't really want to go side by side into turn number 2, Laust Olsen. So he is now back into 12th place, which promotes Borja Valero into 11th place, and they're not really being able to catch the Guinness Ruiz Nunez, as that gap has now completely opened up to 5 seconds, with the last lap being a 4 seconds slower than 10th place. And did we just lose over turn grid? No, he just went to the shadow realm for a second. He's back, but I can report that gap is being eaten down by Rafael Dorado. It's now down to 3.7 seconds between over turn grid and Rafael Dorado at the front.
Yep, so Rafael is not hanging around by any means, and at the moment, he's actually closing that gap down to Ove really quickly. But I think can he close it down in time to try and challenge for the win? It's going to be close, put it that way.
Gonna be looking for a lap comparison here between Rafael Dorado and Ove Trengler. Now you can see how that gap is slowly coming down. Lap 13, that was a little bit faster by Ove Trengler, but every other lap faster by Rafael Dorado. 6/10 gain in lap 12, another 10th in lap 14, and then about a 10th in lap 14 and 15. So he's most definitely catching him, but it's not by as much as we thought it might be.
And I'm just looking at the gap between Trengrade and Dorado now, and it's down to just under 3 seconds. So Raphael is absolutely really pushing, and it's worth mentioning as well that Ovi Trengrade has only had about 1 hour of practice. So yeah, considering that, Ovi is doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, this lap over Trengrade was held up by Ansek Olive, who he had to lap. And there's another car just ahead of him, and that is Gary Teal as Rafael Dorado. Look at that, 19.732. That's 2/10 faster than his fastest lap already in this race. So he's continuing that closing of the gap.
As Ovi Trengrade is coming up to lap a back marker as well, and hopefully Ovi doesn't catch up to the back marker in the wrong place, especially through the kink, because it's hopefully he gets the back marker on the exit, and the back marker move out. As the back marker gets sideways a little bit.
And this is really holding up over Trengrade. Gary Teal, he had to lap there. He is already a few laps down, 5 laps already in total. He's last car running as well, P number 20. Sebastian Tixia already had to retire his car after his incident in turn number 5.
And also, I think if Raphael rather closes the gap down to Ovi, I think you might see a few cracks start to appear with Ovi, because there's been times last season when he's been under pressure, he's cracked a little bit, but I wonder if he'll be able to deal with it in this race.
Yeah, most definitely. We have seen Ovi Trengrade to really be cracking under pressure, especially in the Lotus 49, but also in our other cars, as Ernesto Romero just did disconnect. He was in 7th place. So I wonder if something happened to him, and it's turn number 6 that has found another victim. Pretty much what we saw from from Sebastian Tixia, so I don't think we really need a replay on that. Just a little bit too eager into that turn, overdrove it, lost the rear, and thus crashed hard into the barrier. Looking back at the battle for P number 12, which is going to be P number 11 once again. It's rather interesting. After he got ahead of this pack, Borja Valero that is, he pretty much is driving away from Laust Olsen, who just can't keep up the speed that the Iberian is putting on.
Yeah, so it might be a case of Laus might be struggling with the track temperatures, maybe not suiting the setup or the tyre pressures. But at the moment he's under pressure from John Vetrano and also Colin Bentley. So yeah, Laus is his pace is not falling off dramatically, but it's kind of he's having to keep an eye on John behind him now. But yeah, he's still doing well. He's on P11, just outside the top 10, and having a good run.
Yeah, most definitely is having a good run. As in the front... No, sorry, I thought Rob Olnick was having an issue, but he just dropped for a second from my timing and scoring. Laust Olsen continues to slout here a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if John Vetrano, the Texan driver, finds a way past him in just a few moments' time, and then it's pretty much directly Colin Bentley behind him as well, so wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a 2-for-1 move here for Laust Olsen.
Yep, and also as well with regards to the top two up at the front, Rafael Dorado got held up slightly by Gary Teal, so the gap went back up to about 3.5 seconds, but as Dorado's on the exit of the corkscrew now, and he's got another back marker in front of him he's got to negotiate, and hopefully that the back marker doesn't hold Rafael too much with. Oh, this is not good.
Yeah, this was not the best move from Jacobs. He could have also just stayed there on the left side, but Rafael Dorado made the best of him there through turn number 12. And yeah, Gary Teal, we have already seen him hold up a pedal once already, so it seems really like that Gary is on a little bit of an angry drive here. Not really happy with what happened to his race in the early stages here today. But going back to the battle for P number 11, or actually P number 4 here between Lino and Tyler. These two guys continue to stay close together.
And these two guys have been at it for pretty much the whole race. going at it for P4, and I think this is Bill Tyler's best run in the Grand Prix Legends series, I believe. But if not, I'm happy to be corrected. As Lionel's got a run on Tyler, and Lionel tries to go up the inside. Can he get the move done? He's up the inside. Can he get it done on the exit? And Tyler gets a great run on the outside.
Yeah, a little bit of a slide there from Lionel that did seal the deal on that move to make it a no, as there's a car spun on the outside. That's Jack Hobbs not interfering with this battle right now. They're also coming up to Isaac Olive here in just a few moments time, so that might also be a very interesting picture to see what Olive is going to do with those two. As by the way, for battle for P11, that is now a battle for P number 10, as Borja Valero made a big mistake to the corkscrew last lap, and Laust Olsen has caught up to him for that battle to make it a 4-way fight for 10th place.
Yep, and Laust Olsen is also dragging John Vitrano and Colin Bentley along with him, so this is, I thought Vitrano was going to take a sneaky look up the inside into the corkscrew, but he decides better of it, and we could be on for a 4-car battle for the fight, for the final position in the top 10, so yeah, this is going to be really exciting to watch in the closing stages, but I'm just watching the gap up at the front, and it's down to 2.1 seconds, so Dorado is absolutely on a mission.
Yeah, well, we have the cameras on the battle for P number 10. I'm having also a little bit of a look for P number 4. If something happens there, you will get notified right away. Let's see what happens here into the Andretti hairpin. Seems like no look whatsoever from Vitrano here for P number 11, so Laust Olsen continues to be safe for now, but for how much longer? He most definitely looks like he is racing with a hand behind his back, because that car just doesn't look happy whatsoever.
Absolutely, this battle for the final position in the top 10 is still going on, and I think this will go down to the very last lap. As back up at the front, Dorado is absolutely on it. He's managed to again close that gap down to about 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, the last lap was 4/10 faster, and lap 21 was horrible from Ovi Tringerate, where he most definitely did make a mistake. So that gap is now down to just 1.5 seconds between Tringerate and Dorado. And it just is a question in the room. Will Ove make a mistake when he comes under pressure? It's 4 laps to go, pretty much 3.5 laps here to go in Laguna Seca between those two to fight it out who's going to win today's Grand Prix Legends race. That's a little bit of a mistake from Rafael Dorado. Whoever wins today's race is going to take over the championship lead, by the way. So this is not only a fight for a win, but also a fight for the championship lead. Ovi Tringerate has to win the race to take over the championship lead. Rafael Dorado pretty much only needs second place to also be tied in points with Ovi Tringerate, but obviously a win is just that much sweeter.
As the break for the Andretti hairpin, and Dorado closes up slightly under braking, and you can just see they're in the same picture now. That gap is getting smaller and smaller ever so slightly, and they're riding on board Dorado now, and it's down to about 1.1 seconds. I think I don't know who to predict to win this race, but I'm absolutely loving this battle for the win.
Yeah, most definitely 2 laps to go for Rafael Dorado after this one. Oh, that's another slide from Ovi Tringerate. That's a big mistake. He has to even lift here. He was on the gravel, and this has closed up the gap. We now have a fight on our hands. 4/10 the gap is looking at Rafael Dorado, already looking to the inside here through turn number 8 and 8A. As he now goes through the last section here. Rafael Dorado or Ovi Tringerate, who's your money on?
If Ovi makes another mistake, I think Dorado is going to take the first opportunity he gets and pick up the lead. But Ovi Tringerate, at times he can be very good at defending, but he seems to be overdriving a little bit now. He's starting to get that bit of a rattle feeling, if you like.
Yeah, he's starting to put on what we know as the overdrifts, just completely sideways out of pretty much every single turn. And that might be a nail in a coffin if he overdoes those drifts even more. Rafael Dorado, it would be his first win of, I think, ever. He only joined us last season, so Rafael Dorado most definitely could make here some big points up on his main rival, that is Mick Kledge, but also on the guy just ahead of him, Ovi Trengrid. He is just third place in the standings, so the Norwegian most definitely is looking to take one up here on Rafael Dorado, and especially Mick Kledge, who is still obviously missing in this race with his issues.
There's a comment to the exit of the corkscrew now, and Rafael is just, he's absolutely throwing this car around. He wants this one badly, and this I think that, yeah, this will be his first, if he does take the race one, this will be his first win in a broadcast race in this series. And as they come up to the final corner now, and once they come across the line, they will be on to the final lap, and yeah, it's game on.
Both want it bad, but who wants it more? It is Ovi Trengrid versus Rafael Dorado. They are about 11 seconds clear of third place, so this is only between those two and those two only. Rafael Dorado first attack into the Mario Andretti hairpin wasn't one, so now turn 3, turn 4, maybe turn 5, but he has to set it up through these two right-handers for the left at turn number 5. Let's see how he does this one. It's a good launch for him, as we have seen throughout this race over Rob Olnick, but it's not gonna get him much closer to the back of Ovi Trengrid. Turn number 5 here, the uphill left-hander, and he's much closer than the laps before than we have seen him. So let's see if he can set up turn number 6. That's a good launch for both of them, so that's not going to be an opportunity for Rafael Dorado with that right-hand king through turn number 7. It's the corkscrew. Let's see how those two are handling it. Both are good on the binders and also on the loud pedal. Turn number 10, 9, 10. It's not a passing opportunity, so there's only one more left. Turn number 11. It's a good turn 10 for Ovi Trengrid, and if he just can't keep it all together here, he is gonna take away today's victory. It's a little bit of a slide for both of them, a bigger slide for Rafael Dorado. That seals the deal. Ovi Trengrid is your winner here at round 2.
There's a battle for P4 between Bill Tyler and Mika Lino's coming up to the final corner now. Tyler rather is in P4 as they come into the exit of the final corner, and Tyler gets sideways slightly, but he's going to hold on to P4 as he comes across the line, and he manages to hold on for P4 with Lino in 5th.
Going a little bit back, that is between Laust Olsen and Colin Bentley. P in number 11, they're not going to be able to catch up to Chris Murakami for that 10th place, who got passed by Borja Valero just a lap ago, by the way. Laust Olsen, he is taking a wide approach into turn number 9 to set himself up for turn number 10. And if he also just can keep that car under control on the braking, he's going to take away that 11th spot just ahead of Colin Bentley. He does that very nicely, also keeps it nice and tidy on the loud pedal. So that is a nice 11th place for Laust Olsen on his jump over from the Nissan to the Lotus. With those guys finishing, the racing might be over here in virtual Monterey, but the show is far from done. We're going to step aside for just a few moments to take a breather, but we will be quickly back for the post-race show, where we will run you down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far, as GCRC will be back after these messages. we welcome you all back to Grand Prix Legends post-race show streaming to your home on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing eSports Network. Are you interested in advertising with GSRC? Our channel's 1 million monthly impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description to learn more. Learning more is also what we're about here at GSRC, so without further ado, let's have a look at the race results where Overtrain Rate was just about able to sneak away the victory from Rafael Dorado after a big mistake that sealed the deal quite early on, you could say, in this race, with Rafael Dorado making his way onto the gravel in the corkscrew on lap 1. He wasn't able to catch up anymore with Overtrain Rate. Rob Olnick, a very disappointing race if you look at the difference, but still a third place for him, 13 seconds back on the top dogs in this race, with Bill Tyler finishing another 7 seconds behind, exactly 20 seconds in fact behind Overtrain Rate in 4th place, with Mikko Laino just behind him in 5th place for the first ever top 5 finish for the Finn. Alessandro Parigi 6th place, with Antonio Reis in 7th, Guinness Ruiz Nunes in 8th place, Borja Baldero in 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is Chris Murakami.
Finishing in 11th was Lars Olsen, 12th after starting in 20th was Colin Bentley, so a great result for him. Paul Foster finished in 13th, 14th was PJ Gowdy, 15th was John Vetrano, 16th was Omar Schultz. Isaac Hall finished in 17th, Jack Hobbs in 18th, Gary Teal in 19th. 20th was Ernesto Ramiro, and rounded out the result and retiring from the race with technical issues was Sebastian Tixier in 21st.
Yeah, we had only 3 drivers not finishing today's race. That's said Teal, Romero, and Tixier. So a very great result in terms of finishing drivers. Rafael Dorado, he's the first one to join us in the booth, and Rafael, race-winning overtake. Lap 1, turn number 8. What happened?
Well, I think it's a lesson for me today because I was really confident coming into this race. On Thursday, me and Mick, we had a huge advantage over Ove and Rob. And so far, me and Mick had been the only ones who were able to do 119 laps. And I was really confident today that I was going to be able to open a gap to the other guys and just have, a lonely race, to be honest. But then what happened was that Ovid did an amazing qualifying lap. He did, I think, 19.75, and I did a 19.70. And out of nowhere, I was totally not expecting him to be so fast on qualifying. So that got me really nervous for the start of the race, that he would be able to fight with me the whole race. And my thoughts were to try to open a gap as early as possible, but then that backfired because I was so nervous that I made a mistake.
Very interesting. Now, you have taken over the championship lead with that second place here over I think Rob Olnick is going to be second place here in the championship after this. How are we looking for your pace at Interlagos? What is our outlook for next week's race?
Well, first, the only reason I think I'm leading the championship now is, unfortunately, Mick had hardware problems. I really wish he was here today. We had a great battle on Thursday, so I just wanted to say that he was really missed today. And I am, last time we were in Interlagos, Mick, I think, opened up a gap of 20 or 30 seconds on everybody, so he's going to be really strong there. And because he missed this race, I think he's really going to come back with a vengeance, and I'm really going to have to put all my effort if I want to keep up with him.
Yeah, should be a very interesting battle with Mick Kledge starting to fight back throughout the season with this deficit that he has right now. But Rafael, we sadly have to make way once again here already. So thank you for talking to us, and congrats on your second place, and congrats on taking over the championship lead.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
That was Rafael Dorado with a little bit of microphone problems. We apologize for the poor quality right there. And Ryan, sadly, this is pretty much all we've got for today. But what is your outlook for Interlagos next week?
I think we should be in for another great race into Lagos with that long run up to the home straight. I think the slipstream is going to be a major factor, but also you've got that middle sector, or the twisty middle sector with the hairpins, and I think it's going to be a really close race, and I think we should be in for another close battle for the win. But yeah, that'll be good to see McLaren's back on track next week with him battling for the win with Rafael Dorado and Rob Olnick and the Ove Trengrade as well. And I think this season in general, I think we're going to have a four-way fight for the championship.
Yeah, most definitely, and yeah, should be very interesting there, especially with Rafael Dorado trying to defend that championship lead from here on out. Should be interesting what he can do with that, especially because he doesn't know this kind of position yet in this championship. But with that all said and done, GSRC would like to thank everyone on the track today for a great show, especially the Lotus 49 community for contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. As always, right now on your screen you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hard and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, or on Instagram at GSRC_RAM. All of the upcoming races for our other series are now spreading across your screen, so check them out and mark them down in your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Sean, Ryan and Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Ove Trengrade to give away the victory here in Laguna Seca. With that said, until next time, service and sayonara, and as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.